The space station orbiting Jupiter gleamed like a silver coin against the gas giant's swirling storms. Inside the main conference room, Captain Lisa Warren straightened her blue uniform and took a deep breath. This meeting would change human history forever. Ready, Captain? Lieutenant John Carter stood by the door, his hand resting on his holstered sidearm. As ready as I'll ever be to meet aliens, Lisa replied with a small smile. She had been chosen to represent Earth for a reason. She was calm, smart, and not easily intimidated. Today, those qualities would be tested. The door slid open with a soft hiss. 3 tall figures entered the room. The aliens called themselves the Krell. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with gray-blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Their 4 eyes blinked at different times as they observed the humans. The lead Krell stepped forward. I am Ambassador Korzath. His voice sounded like stones grinding together. We have traveled far to meet the species that make so much noise in this quiet part of space. Lisa extended her hand, then remembered the briefing. Krell did not touch during greetings. She lowered her arm and nodded instead. Welcome to our solar system, Ambassador. I am Captain Lisa Warren of the Earth Defense Fleet. A military representative? Korzath's upper eyes narrowed. We expected your world leaders. I am authorized to speak on behalf of Earth's United Nations, Lisa explained. We hope this meeting will begin a peaceful relationship between our peoples. Korzath made a sound. That might have been a laugh. Peaceful? Yes, we shall see if your kind deserves peace. The meeting continued for hours. Lisa presented information about Earth, human history, and their recent expansion to Mars and Europa. The Krell showed little interest, interrupting with questions that seemed designed to highlight human weaknesses. Your species has only achieved spaceflight in the last century, Korzath asked. We have traveled between stars for thousands of years. We are young but eager to learn, Lisa replied diplomatically. Young? No. Primitive is the word, Korzath said. His companions made clicking sounds that Lisa assumed was laughter. Lisa felt her patience wearing thin but maintained her composure. Perhaps you could tell us about your civilization, Ambassador? Why waste time? Your species will either serve a purpose in the galactic community or it will not. Korzath stood suddenly. We have seen enough. The ambassador pressed something on his wrist. A high-pitched whine filled the air. Warning lights flashed red throughout the station. What are you doing? Lisa demanded, standing up. Testing your worth, Korzath replied. Your species is weak. Your technology is primitive. You will be subjugated or eliminated. Lieutenant Carter drew his weapon. Captain, we need to evacuate now. Explosions rocked the station. Lisa grabbed the conference table as the floor shook beneath her feet. This station will be destroyed as a demonstration, Korzath said calmly. Consider it the first lesson in your education. The Krell turned to leave. Lisa called after them, anger replacing diplomacy. We came here in peace. Peace is for equals, Korzath replied without turning. You are nothing. Your species will be subjugated. Lisa and her team raced through the corridors toward their shuttle, as parts of the station began to break apart. Emergency crews helped injured personnel evacuate. Through the viewport, Lisa saw Krell ships firing on the station. They reached the shuttle bay just as another explosion tore through the station. The team piled into the shuttle as Lieutenant Carter took the controls. The small craft launched into space as the station began to collapse behind them. From the safety of the shuttle, Lisa watched the destruction. The station that had been built as a symbol of human achievement was now breaking into pieces, scattered across Jupiter's orbit. Captain, the communications officer called. Earth is asking for a report. What do I tell them? Lisa's face hardened with determination. She looked at the Krell ships moving away from the wreckage, then back at her crew. Tell them the Krell have declared war, she said. And tell them my exact words. You want war? We'll give you a battle. The emergency shuttle raced toward Earth, damage visible on its hull from debris that had struck during their escape. Inside, Captain Lisa Warren stared at the communication screen. The faces of world leaders looked back at her with shock and fear. They destroyed the station without warning, Lisa explained. The Krell see us as inferior. They plan to attack Earth next. Admiral Frank Morrison, a gray-haired man with deep lines on his face, spoke first. How long do we have, Captain? Days, maybe hours, Lisa replied. Their ships are much faster than ours. The screen split to show more faces, military commanders, scientists and colony representatives from Mars and Europa. Earth had never faced a threat like this before. All defense forces are now on high alert, Admiral Morrison said. Captain Warren, we need everything you learned about their technology. Lisa nodded. Lieutenant Carter recorded footage of their ships. I noticed their weapons fire has a distinct energy signature. Maybe we can find a weakness. Far across the room, a woman with curly brown hair raised her hand. I'm Dr. Grace Williams, Weapons Research. If you send me that data, I might be able to analyze it. Do it, ordered Admiral Morrison. Meanwhile, we evacuate civilians from coastal cities and other likely targets. The meeting continued as plans formed. Mars Governor Susan Miller spoke up about the colonies. We have 20,000 people on Mars with limited defenses. What should we do? Begin emergency preparations, Lisa advised. But don't evacuate yet. There's nowhere to go that's safer. As the shuttle approached Earth's orbit, Lisa saw the planet's defense fleet gathering. Small compared to what the Krell had shown, but these were their best ships. The sight filled her with both pride and worry. After landing, Lisa went straight to the defense headquarters in Colorado. The massive underground complex buzzed with activity. Soldiers ran through corridors. Analysts studied screens showing the paths of approaching Krell ships. Lieutenant Carter met her in the command center. They've taken out our outer system monitoring stations. 3 colony outposts gone, no survivors. Lisa clenched her fists. Where's Dr. Williams? Carter led her to a lab where Grace and her team studied the footage from Jupiter. A tall man with glasses looked up as they entered. Captain Warren, I'm Alan Peters, he said. We've been examining the Krell technology. Their ships have some kind of energy shield we've never seen before. Grace pointed to a screen showing a slowed-down recording of the attack. Look here. When their weapons fire, there's a fluctuation in their shields. Can we use that? Lisa asked. Maybe, Grace replied. But we need more data. An alarm blared through the facility. Admiral Morrison's voice came over the speakers. First contact with Krell fighters near Mars orbit. All personnel to battle stations. On the main screen, they watched as Earth ships engaged the first wave of Krell attackers. The battle was quick and brutal. Human vessels exploded one after another while barely damaging the enemy. Our weapons can't penetrate their shields, a tactical officer reported. As they watched, a man in civilian clothes pushed his way into the command center. I might have an idea. Security tried to remove him until Lisa intervened. Who are you? She asked. Peter Kelly. I'm an engineer from the asteroid mining operation. He pointed to the screen. Those shields look similar to the containment fields we use for plasma drills. If so, they might have the same weakness. Which is? Admiral Morrison asked. Specific electromagnetic frequencies can disrupt them, Peter explained. Our mining equipment might be adapted into weapons. Lisa turned to Grace and Alan. Work with him. Test his theory. Admiral Morrison approached Lisa as the others left. Captain, I'm promoting you to lead our counteroffensive planning. We need someone who's seen them up close. Sir, I'm not sure. They started this war, Morrison interrupted. Now we need people who can finish it. Outside, through a small window, Lisa saw people looking up at the sky. They couldn't see the battle happening above them, but somehow they knew. Earth was facing its greatest challenge, and Lisa's words had already spread across the planet, becoming humanity's rallying cry. You want war? We'll give you a battle. The Mars colony fell 3 days later. The Red Planet's small defense force fought bravely but stood no chance against the Krell warships. Emergency broadcasts showed buildings crumbling and the dome that protected the main settlement cracking, open to the thin Martian air. In the command center on Earth, Lisa watched the final transmission from Governor Susan Miller. They're inside the main dome, Susan said, her face dirty and bleeding from a cut on her forehead. We've moved as many people as possible to the emergency shelters, but an explosion rocked the camera. When the image cleared, Susan was gone. Lisa turned away from the screen. How many survivors? Unknown, Lieutenant Carter replied. Communications are completely down. Admiral Morrison entered the room with several military leaders. His uniform looked wrinkled, like he hadn't changed in days. The Krell fleet has split. Half are heading toward Europa Colony, and the rest are coming straight for Earth. Our defense satellites? Lisa asked. They won't last 10 minutes against those ships, Morrison said. We need more time. Lisa looked at the tactical display, showing the approaching enemy fleet. What about the Defiant? The Defiant was her old ship, now repaired after the Jupiter station attack. It was the fastest vessel in Earth's fleet. What are you thinking, Captain? Morrison asked. A delaying action, Lisa replied. We gather our fastest ships, hit their fleet from the side, then run. We won't win, but we might slow them down. Morrison nodded slowly. Give Dr. Williams and her team more time to work on the shield problem. Exactly. 6 hours later, Lisa stood on the bridge of the Defiant. 5 other ships joined her small battle group. They waited behind Europa's moon, hidden from Krell sensors. Enemy fleet approaching, the sensor officer reported. 43 ships. Lisa took a deep breath. All ships prepare to attack on my mark. Remember, we hit them hard and fast, then retreat. Don't stay and fight. They're passing our position, Lieutenant Carter said from his station. Now in range. All ships attack, Lisa ordered. The human vessels surged from behind the moon, weapons firing at the surprised Krell fleet. Lisa watched as their shots hit the enemy shields, causing them to flare but not penetrate. Target their smaller ships, she ordered. Concentrate, fire on one at a time. The battle raged around them. One Krell ship exploded when 3 Earth vessels focused fire on the same spot. A cheer went up across the bridge. But then the Krell recovered from their surprise. Their ships turned with impossible speed, returning fire with devastating effect. 2 human ships disappeared in balls of flame. Captain, we're taking heavy fire, Carter shouted as the Defiant shook violently. All ships, begin retreat, Lisa ordered. Get back to Earth defense perimeter. As they turned to flee, a Krell blast hit the Defiant's engine section. The ship spun wildly as emergency alarms blared. Engine 3 is gone, the engineering officer reported. 2 and 4 failing. Can we make it back to Earth? Lisa asked, gripping her chair as another hit rocked the ship. Barely, if we're lucky. Lisa looked at the damage reports flooding her screen. 12 crew members dead, many more injured. She herself had a deep cut on her arm that she hadn't even noticed in the chaos. What about the other ships? She asked. Carter's face was grim. Only the Valiant made it out with us. The rest are gone. They limped back toward Earth, the Krell fleet following at a slower pace, delayed but not stopped. When they finally reached Earth orbit, medical teams rushed aboard to help the wounded. Lisa was taken to the medical bay against her protests. As a doctor treated her arm, Admiral Morrison visited. Your delaying action bought us 18 hours, he said. Not much, but Dr. Williams says it might be enough. For what? Lisa asked. She found something, Morrison replied. A specific frequency that disrupts their shields. But her plan to use it? He hesitated. It's extremely risky. Tell me, Lisa said, wincing as the doctor sealed her wound. Morrison leaned closer. She wants to turn the entire moon into a giant electromagnetic pulse generator. One shot at every Krell ship at once. Lisa stared at him. That's not risky. That's insane. It's also our only chance, Morrison said. And she needs you to deliver the device to the lunar surface. Through the window, Lisa could see Earth below, beautiful and blue, home to billions of people who would die if they failed. When do we leave? She asked. The Krell ships entered Earth orbit the next day. They ignored the remaining defense satellites and headed straight for the major cities. Within hours, New York, London, Beijing, and 20 other population centers were under direct attack. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, Lisa prepared for the mission to the moon. The Defiant had been quickly repaired, though many systems still didn't work properly. Dr. Grace Williams supervised as technicians loaded her device into the cargo bay. Will this really work? Lisa asked as she watched them. Grace looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. In theory, yes, the moon's mineral composition will amplify the signal. When we activate it, the pulse should hit every Krell ship in orbit. And disable their shields, Lisa added. For about 3 minutes, Grace said. That's our window to attack. Admiral Morrison joined them, his face grim. We just lost contact with the European Command Center. The Krell have landed ground forces in France, Germany, and Spain. What about the people? Lisa asked. Some escaped to underground shelters. Others weren't so lucky. Morrison handed her a tablet showing footage from Paris. Tall Krell soldiers walked through the streets while humans ran or were captured. They're taking prisoners, Lisa noted. For what purpose, we don't know, Morrison said. That's why this mission can't fail. You leave in 30 minutes. As Morrison walked away, Lieutenant Carter approached. He now had a long scar across his right cheek from the battle near Europa. The crew is ready, Captain, he reported. But I should warn you, we're operating with minimal systems and only 18 crew members. It will have to be enough, Lisa replied. Before they could board the ship, alarms sounded throughout the base. The mountain shook as explosions hit somewhere above. They found us, Carter said. Morrison's voice came over the speakers. All personnel, evacuation protocol Alpha. The Krell are directly overhead. Lisa turned to Grace. Get your device on the ship now. We're leaving. As they loaded the final components, the ceiling of the hangar cracked. Dust and small rocks fell on them. Grace looked up with fear in her eyes. Go, Lisa told her. I'll finish here. Once the device was secure, Lisa ran for the bridge. The Defiant's engines were already warming up as she arrived. Status? She asked. Base defenses are engaged, Carter reported. They're buying us time to launch. Through the view screen, Lisa saw the hangar doors opening. Beyond them, the night sky was filled with fire as defense guns shot at Krell ships. Take us out, Lieutenant, low and fast. The Defiant rose from its underground dock and accelerated away from the mountains. Behind them, explosions tore through the facility they had just left. Admiral Morrison? Lisa asked. Carter shook his head. No contact with command. Lisa fought down her emotions. There would be time to mourn later, if they survived. Set course. For the moon, she ordered. Maximum speed. As they climbed through the atmosphere, they saw the true extent of the invasion. Krell ships filled the skies above every continent, cities burned below. In some areas, ground battles raged as human. Military forces fought against Krell troops. Captain, the communications officer called out. I'm picking up signals from all over the planet, resistance groups forming. Put them through, Lisa said. Dozens of voices came through the speakers, some clear, others broken by static. Military, commanders, police chiefs, ordinary citizens, all reporting on Krell positions and organizing fighters. One voice stood out. It was John Carter's brother Sam, broadcasting from somewhere in the Canadian wilderness. This is Resistance Cell, Alpha, he said. We've established a safe zone for refugees and are gathering weapons. Any military personnel who can hear this, we need your help. Similar messages came from every region. Humanity was not surrendering. They were going underground, forming resistance groups, and preparing to fight back. Record this message, Lisa told the communications officer. Broadcast it to all frequencies. When ready, she spoke clearly into the microphone. This is Captain Lisa Warren. Earth has been invaded, but we are not defeated. A counterattack is coming. Stay hidden, stay alive. And remember, they wanted war. We're going to give them a battle they'll never forget. The Defiant continued its journey to the moon, carrying humanity's best hope for survival. The journey to the moon took longer than normal. The Defiant had to fly a strange path to avoid Krell patrols. Lisa stood on the bridge, watching as the blue Earth grew smaller behind them. Fires were visible even from space, marking the locations of burning cities. Krell ships approaching, Lieutenant Carter warned. 3 fighters on an intercept course. Can we outrun them? Lisa asked. Carter shook his head. Not in our condition. Then we fight, Lisa said. All weapons ready. The Defiant turned to face the approaching Krell ships. They were smaller than the main battleships, but still dangerous. Wait for them to get close, Lisa ordered. Dr. Williams, can you create a small version of your pulse? Grace looked up from her workstation. Maybe. I could route power from the main engines, but we'd lose speed. Do it, Lisa said. Just enough to affect one ship at a time. Grace worked quickly, connecting systems that weren't meant to work together. Ready, she said finally. But it will only work at very close range. The Krell fighters grew larger on the screen. They fired first, energy blasts hitting the Defiant's already damaged hull. Hold course, Lisa said as the ship shook. Bring us directly at the lead fighter. Captain, that's a collision course, Carter warned. I know. Trust me. The distance closed rapidly. The Krell ship filled their view screen, still firing. Now, Dr. Williams, Lisa shouted. Grace activated her device. A wave of energy burst from the Defiant, invisible but powerful. The Krell ship's shields flickered and died. Fire everything, Lisa ordered. The Defiant's weapons finally found their target. The Krell fighter exploded in a ball of fire. The blast damaged the Defiant too, throwing it off course. The other two Krell ships passed by, turning for another attack. Engines back online, Grace called out. The pulse works. Target the second fighter, Lisa ordered. Same plan. They repeated the maneuver. The second Krell ship exploded even closer to them, sending debris smashing into the Defiant's hull. Warning alarms sounded throughout the ship. Hull breach in sections 4 and 5, an officer reported. The third Krell fighter seemed to reconsider. It turned away, accelerating back toward Earth. It's running, Carter said in surprise. No, Lisa replied. It's going for help. Get us to the moon now. The damaged Defiant limped toward the gray surface of the moon. They landed in a crater on the far side, hidden from Earth and the Krell fleet. Grace led a team outside in spacesuits. They carried pieces of the device across the lunar surface to a spot she had selected. Lisa joined them, helping to assemble the complex machine. How long? Lisa asked through her suit radio. 2 hours to set up, Grace replied. Then we need to dig into the surface about 20 feet. They worked quickly, aware that the Krell could find them at any moment. As they finished the main assembly, Carter's voice came through their radios. Captain, we have a problem. A Krell battleship just entered lunar orbit. I think they're scanning for us. Lisa looked up at the black sky. How long until they find us? Minutes, maybe less, Carter replied. Grace checked her device. We need more time. The transmitter isn't properly connected to the lunar soil yet. Lisa made a quick decision. Lieutenant, power up the Defiant, prepare to launch. What's the plan? Carter asked. I'm going to distract them, Lisa said. Give Dr. Williams the time she needs. Before anyone could argue, Lisa was running back to the ship. She reached the bridge and took her seat. Just us, Lieutenant, she said. Everyone else stays to help Dr. Williams. Carter looked concerned but nodded. Yes, Captain. The Defiant rose from the lunar surface with just 2 people aboard. Lisa guided it around the edge of the moon, coming into view of the massive Krell battleship. It was at least 20 times larger than the Defiant. Open a channel, Lisa told Carter. All frequencies. When he nodded, she spoke clearly. Krell vessel. This is Captain Lisa Warren of Earth. Remember me? You wanted war. Come and get it. The Defiant turned and sped away from the moon. The Krell battleship, just as Lisa hoped, followed them. Back on the lunar surface, Grace and her team worked frantically to complete the device. They now had the time they needed, but everything depended on Lisa's return, if she could survive long enough to make it back. The Defiant raced away from the moon with the massive Krell battleship in pursuit. Lisa pushed the damaged engines beyond safe limits, causing warning lights to flash across the control panel. How long do we need to keep them distracted? Carter asked, his hands moving quickly over the controls. At least 30 minutes, Lisa replied. Then we somehow need to get back to the moon. The Krell ship fired, the energy blast passing close to the Defiant. The human ship shuddered from the near miss. They're too big to match our turns, Lisa said. Use that, take us around that asteroid. Carter guided the ship toward a large space rock. They skimmed its surface, using it as a shield. The Krell ship was forced to go around, giving them a moment to breathe. Captain, we can't keep this up forever, Carter said. Our fuel is running low. Lisa studied the tactical display. We don't need forever. We just need a plan to get back to the moon. She pointed to a dense field of asteroids ahead. In there. They won't be able to follow us with their big ship. The Defiant darted into the asteroid field. Rocks of all sizes floated around them, some as small as a fist, others as large as mountains. Carter weaved between them with impressive skill. The Krell battleship stopped at the edge of the field. It was too large to safely enter. Instead, it launched a dozen small fighter ships. They're not giving up, Carter said. Good, Lisa replied. The more attention on us, the less on the moon. Back on the lunar surface, Grace and her team worked desperately to finish the device. They had dug deep into the moon's soil and placed the core of the machine inside. Final connections complete, one technician reported. Power systems are ready. Grace checked everything one last time. Now we wait for Captain Warren. One of the crew looked up at the dark sky. What if she doesn't make it back? Grace had no answer for that. In the asteroid field, Lisa and Carter fought for their lives. The Defiant twisted and turned among the floating rocks, using them as cover. 2 Krell fighters crashed into asteroids while chasing them. Another was destroyed by the Defiant's weapons. 9 left, Lisa said, and we're running out of tricks. Carter pointed to the tactical display. Captain, look, there's a large asteroid with a crater. If we fly inside, they might think we crashed, Lisa finished. Do it. The Defiant flew into the dark crater and powered down. They waited as the Krell fighters searched for them. Minutes passed in tense silence. They're moving away, Carter whispered, as if the Krell might hear them. I think it worked. Plot a course back to the moon, Lisa ordered. Keep the asteroid between us and the Krell battleship. They powered up and slipped out of the crater. Using the asteroid field as cover, they made their way back toward the moon. On Earth, the situation grew worse. The Krell had taken control of most major cities. But human resistance was stronger than expected. In the ruins of Chicago, Sam Carter led a group that attacked Krell patrols. In the mountains of Asia, farmers and soldiers fought together against alien invaders. The Krell Supreme Commander, Vazkra, watched from his flagship above Earth. Reports came in of resistance attacks around the planet. These humans are more troublesome than expected, he told his officers. Increase the number of ground troops. Crush any resistance. One officer approached. Supreme Commander, we lost contact with the patrol sent to the moon. Vazkra turned sharply. The moon? Why? Would the humans go there? It has no strategic value. Unknown, Supreme Commander. Send another ship to investigate, Vazkra ordered. The Defiant approached the far side of the moon, staying low to avoid detection. Lisa saw the lunar surface passing quickly below them. There, Carter said, pointing to the landing site. They touched down near Grace's team. Lisa ran from the ship to find Grace. Did it work? She asked. Is the device ready? Grace nodded, her face showing relief at Lisa's return. Ready and waiting. But there's something you should know. What? We modified the plan, Grace said. The pulse will be stronger than we thought, but there's a cost. Someone needs to stay here to manually activate it. Lisa understood immediately. A suicide mission, Grace nodded. The radiation will be fatal. I've already decided to stay. No, Lisa said firmly. I'll do it. Get everyone back on the ship. Before Grace could argue, alerts sounded from the Defiant. Another Krell ship approaching, Carter called out. We have minutes at most. Lisa looked at Grace. No more time for debate. Get everyone on board and take off. That's an order. Grace hesitated, then nodded. The device is set. Just press this button when ready. As Grace ran to the ship, Lisa walked toward the device that might save humanity. Behind her, the Defiant's engines powered up for takeoff. Lisa stood alone on the lunar surface, watching as the Defiant lifted off. The ship hovered for a moment as if reluctant to leave her behind, then accelerated away. She turned to the device that Grace had built, a strange mix of Earth technology and parts taken from destroyed Krell ships. Her spacesuit's radio crackled. "Captain, we're in position," Carter's voice said. "The Krell ship will be in view in 2 minutes." "Remember the plan," Lisa replied. "When I activate the pulse, you have 3 minutes to attack every Krell ship you can reach. Their shields will be down." "We'll be ready," Carter promised. "But Captain, there must be another way." Lisa looked up at the stars. "There isn't. Now go. Earth is counting on you." She walked to the device and checked the final settings. The pulse would use the moon's natural minerals to amplify its power, sending a wave of energy that would disable Krell shields throughout Earth orbit. The price was high. The radiation would kill her within minutes, but Earth would have its chance. Above her, a large Krell ship appeared over the lunar horizon. It was scanning the surface, looking for signs of human activity. "They've spotted us," Carter's voice came through the radio. "Captain, you need to activate now." Lisa's hand moved to the button that would start the device, but before she could press it, she heard a sound behind her. She turned to see another spacesuit approaching. It was Grace. "What are you doing here?" Lisa demanded. "You should be on the Defiant." "I couldn't let you do this alone," Grace replied. "Besides, I built it. I should be the one to activate it." "No," Lisa said firmly. "Get back to the ship, that's an order." Grace shook her head. "The ship's gone, Captain. I came down in a small pod. There's no way back for either of us now." Lisa wanted to be angry, but there was no time. The Krell ship was moving closer, weapons charging. "Then we do this together," Lisa said. They both placed their hands on the activation button. Above them, the Krell ship fired its first shot, hitting the lunar surface nearby and sending dust and rocks flying. "Now!" Lisa shouted. They pressed the button. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ground beneath them began to vibrate. The device hummed louder and louder. A wave of invisible energy burst outward in all directions, racing across space toward Earth. In Earth orbit, the pulse hit the Krell fleet. Ship after ship suddenly lost power to their shields. The massive flagship of Supreme Commander Vazakra shook violently as its systems failed. "What is happening?" Vazakra demanded. "Our shields are down," an officer reported in panic. "All ships report the same." On the Defiant, Carter saw the effect immediately. "All Krell ships showing shield failure," he announced. The pulse worked. He opened a channel to all human ships and resistance groups. "This is Lieutenant Carter of the Defiant. The Krell shields are down. Attack now. You have 3 minutes." Across Earth's orbit, the remaining human ships launched everything they had at the vulnerable Krell vessels. On the planet below, resistance fighters used the moment to attack Krell ground forces, whose personal shields had also failed. The Krell flagship took multiple hits from Earth's orbital defenses. Explosions tore through its hull. Vazakra watched in disbelief as his mighty fleet began to fall apart around him. On the moon, Lisa and Grace lay on the ground as radiation from the device flooded their bodies. Their spacesuits offered little protection against it. "Did it work?" Grace asked weakly. Lisa looked up at Earth, beautiful and blue in the black sky. She could see flashes of light around it, explosions as Krell ships were destroyed. "It worked," she said, her voice growing faint. "Humanity will survive." Grace managed a small smile. "Worth it then?" "Worth everything," Lisa agreed. As their strength faded, they watched the battle raging around Earth. Krell ships were falling from orbit, burning up in the atmosphere. Others tried to flee but were pursued by human vessels. Lisa's final thoughts were not of the pain or the approaching darkness, but of home, of blue skies and green grass, of a humanity that refused to surrender, even against impossible odds. Her last words, whispered too softly for even Grace to hear, echoed her famous phrase, "You wanted war. We gave you a battle." Above them, the stars continued to shine as the tide of war finally turned in humanity's favor. 1 year later, Earth was healing. Cities were being rebuilt. Fields that had been battlegrounds now grew crops again. The scars of war remained, but life was returning to normal. Lieutenant Carter, now promoted to captain, stood at the window of the new Space Defense headquarters in Geneva. He looked up at the night sky where stars shone brightly. Among them moved lights that were not stars, ships patrolling Earth's orbit, protecting against any future threat. "Captain Carter, they're ready for you," an aide said from the doorway. Carter nodded and straightened his uniform. Today was an important day, the anniversary of what people now called the Pulse. The day humanity turned the tide against the Krell. He walked into a large room filled with people. Military officers, government officials, and ordinary citizens who had fought in the resistance. At the front of the room stood a simple monument, 2 spacesuits empty but standing as if filled by invisible bodies. A plaque below them read, "Captain Lisa Warren and Dr. Grace Williams. They gave everything so Earth could live." Carter took his place at the podium. "1 year ago today," he began, 2 brave women sacrificed their lives on the surface of the moon. Their actions allowed us to strike back against an enemy that thought us weak and primitive." He paused, remembering Lisa's face as the Defiant left her behind. "After the Krell shields went down, our forces destroyed 60% of their fleet in just under 3 minutes. The rest retreated, but we followed. For 2 months we chased them across the solar system until we cornered Supreme Commander Vazakrah's flagship near Saturn. Behind him, a screen showed images of the final battle. The Krell flagship, massive but damaged, surrounded by Earth ships. Vazakrah refused to surrender," Carter continued, "but many of his officers saw things differently. They had learned what humans do when backed into a corner. They had learned the cost of underestimating us." He pressed a button, and the screen changed to show a new image. A Krell officer, standing before the United Nations. Ambassador Kelvin now represents the new Krell leadership. They have signed a peace treaty and opened diplomatic relations with Earth. The war is truly over. The room applauded. Carter waited for silence before continuing. "But we must never forget what it cost us," he said softly. "The millions who died. The colonies on Mars and Europa that are still being rebuilt. And 2 women who knew that sometimes victory requires the ultimate sacrifice." After the ceremony, Carter walked alone to a small garden behind the building. There he found Sam, his brother, waiting. "Good speech," Sam said. "Lisa would have hated it," Carter replied with a small smile. "She never wanted to be a hero." Sam nodded. "Have you heard the news from Mars? They've named the new main dome after her and Grace." "They'd hate that too," Carter said, but he was still smiling. They stood in silence for a moment, looking up at the stars. Then Sam spoke again. "The new ship is ready. They want you to captain it." Carter had been expecting this. The Defiant II was Earth's newest and most advanced starship. Built with a mixture of human and Krell technology, it was designed to travel beyond the solar system. "Where will they send us?" he asked. "Exploration," Sam replied. "The Krell star. Maps show hundreds of habitable worlds. Some already have civilizations. Others are waiting to be settled." Carter thought about it. After a year of helping rebuild, the idea of exploring the stars appealed to him. Lisa would have loved that mission. "I'll do it," he said, "but on one condition. I choose my own crew." "Already approved," Sam told him. "Your first mission briefing is tomorrow." As they walked back inside, Carter looked up once more at the night sky. Somewhere out there were new worlds, new civilizations, and perhaps new challenges. But humanity had proven itself. They had faced extinction and survived. They had turned defeat into victory. Lisa's words still echoed in his mind. "You want war? We'll give you a battle." It had become more than just a defiant phrase spoken in a moment of crisis. It had become humanity's introduction to the galaxy. A warning to any who might threaten Earth in the future. Humans were not to be underestimated. Ever again,